I mean,
different messenger.
We were hearing a growing chorus of voices within the military saying this just isn't working with this guy in charge.
A prominent newspaper aimed directly at military personnel wants to give Donald Rumsfeld the pink slip. And
we understand he's distancing himself from you lately. We're here to make sure that doesn't happen. We're going to take you to see him.
Trying to stay away? YouTube connects the party disconnect. Who's running from whom on the campaign trail? You're in the CNN Newsroom.
Welcome to the Newsroom, your connection to the world, the web, and what's happening right now. I'm Carol Lynn. You've been busy today, so let's get you plugged in. Starting with the headlines, guilty or not guilty? In just a few hours, a judge in Baghdad will hand down the first verdicts in Saddam Hussein's trial. Our John Roberts says Iraqi police and U.S. troops are bracing for a possibly explosive reaction.
Nobody's clear at this point. It could be that if Saddam Hussein is given the death penalty, that the Sunnis could erupt. Some people are warning, and not to say that this would happen, but some people are warning that the country could tip into all-out civil war because of that verdict.
Donald Rumsfeld must go. It's not an uncommon stance, but this time it's appearing in the pages of the Army Times, an unofficial military newspaper. We'll have reaction from the Pentagon and the White House in just a minute. The picture isn't getting any rosier for Pastor Ted Haggart. Make that former pastor. Today, the 14,000-strong New Life Church ejected Haggart as their leader. He's been caught up in a growing sex scandal. A full report in 10 minutes. And more church news, 500 years of Anglican history rewritten today. The new head of the U.S. Episcopal Church is Catherine Shorey. She is the first woman to hold that post. She now leads about 2.5 million people. Election day just 2 days away, and the president is stumping for GOP candidates all weekend. He hit 10 states before the polls opened Tuesday morning. Sources tell the Associated Press the White House is planning for possible Democratic gains in the House. And now we want to hear from you. Iraq, gay rights, the economy. What issue is sending you to the polls? Give us a call at 1-800-807-2620. We're going to air some of your responses later this hour. And happy birthday, Madam First Lady. She and the Bush family are celebrating at their Texas ranch tonight. The president, playing it safe, refuses to tell reporters his wife's age, but he did say, quote, "We're born in the same year, and I turned 60. Now it's your turn to choose the news. Is there a particular story that you want to hear more about? All you have to do is email us at weekends@cnn.com or send us your video or webcam suggestion at cnn.com/exchange, and we are going to get you the answer within the hour. Now, in just 4 hours, a Baghdad court opens session for an historic announcement, a verdict in the trial of Saddam Hussein. Security is tight. A curfew is now in place. If Hussein is convicted, prosecutors want the death penalty. Now, right here in the United States, polls show Iraq is the top issue as people get ready for Tuesday's election. Democrats say it's all about the war. Republicans disagree. Meantime, there's a new call for Defense Secretary Rumsfeld to go, this time from a source read by virtually everyone in uniform. The latest call for President Bush to fire Donald Rumsfeld comes from the Military Times Media Group. It publishes the Army Times and other periodicals covering the armed forces. In an online editorial, the editors write, Rumsfeld has lost credibility with the uniformed leadership, with the troops, and with Congress, and with the public at large. Well, the president is said to have just shrugged off the editorial, but it seems just about everyone else has something to say. The managing editor of the Army Times says the timing of the editorial has nothing to do with Tuesday's election and everything to do with Rumsfeld's performance and the president's latest promise to keep Rumsfeld on the job.
We were hearing a growing chorus of voices within the military saying this just isn't working with this guy in charge.
The White House was quick to disagree. Press Secretary Tony Snow called the editorials a shabby piece of work. As for the timing, just 2 days until the election? Quote, "You've got to be kidding me," Snow said. "I mean, if they didn't want it to influence the elections, they could have published it Wednesday." The Army Times publisher insists his staff simply responded to what reporters are learning.
I think that we hear things that that we suspect that Secretary Rumsfeld also hears. The difference is that I think that we're paying attention to them.
The military sharply disagrees. According to a Pentagon statement, the new chorus of criticism noted by the editorials is actually old news and does not include commanders in the field who remain committed to the mission. The editorial offered a new argument for Rumsfeld's critics. A top Democrat pounced on it.
When we have a uniform statement and a comment that is applicable to all the services, that they've lost confidence in the Secretary of Defense, it's really time for that Secretary of Defense to go.
All the services? Well, the Military Times publishes the Army Times, Navy Times, Air Force Times, and Marine Corps Times. Now, the editorial is already on all 4 websites. The media group is owned by Gannett, the same company that owns USA Today. The papers have no official ties to the military, but that's their only beat. The papers are distributed on bases worldwide with a circulation of about 250,000. Now, we are going to have complete coverage of the Saddam Hussein trial from Baghdad in about 25 minutes. Also, my conversation with CNN's John Roberts and a report from our Anish Raman at the bottom of the hour. In the meantime, a top church leader out of a job and in the middle of a scandal.
And did you ever have sex with him?
No, I did not.
Ted Haggard's denial leads to his dismissal. We're following all the new developments live from Colorado next. Also, candidates shunning their own party leaders. The push and pull of politics, as only our Bill Schneider can tell it. And from
What
bloggers,
the big change is that it forces a candidate to always believe that they are now on live TV.
to vloggers, campaign trail videos available on your computer. It's all in this hour, right here in the CNN Newsroom.
I really think we should pull over. They want us to pull over. Pulling over.
Are our SUVs as much fun as our bikes?
You left us at the diner. There's a new number in it. Let's go.
Introducing the all-new midsize Suzuki XL7. It's going to be a great ride.
While oil and natural gas earnings compare with other major industries, we've reinvested more than $1 trillion since 1992, part of an ongoing commitment using advanced technology to find new sources of energy and protect our environment. We'll need 50% more energy by 2030, and we're working to ensure reliable supplies to keep America going strong. Log on and let us show you more. A message from America's oil and natural gas industry.
Here's what you're checking out on CNN.com tonight. You know, he always is going to be known as Doogie Howser, MD. But now Neil Patrick Harris wants everyone to know that he's, quote, a very content gay man. The actor says he's coming out about his sexuality after recent speculation about his private life. There are grounds for concerns at Starbucks. The company is looking for 4 laptop computers. 2 of them contain private information on 60,000 current and former employees. Starbucks says there's no sign the data has actually been misused yet. And a Philadelphia man is accused of raping 8 women he met online. Police say that he slipped something in their drinks and then assaulted them. His lawyer says the sex was consensual. Visit CNN.com for details on these stories and a whole bunch others. You're back in the newsroom in just a moment.
Destination, 8 miles.
Getting gas, be there in 10.
Okay.
Where are you headed? The processing plant.
Need directions?
No, thanks. I've got Nextel GPS.
What'd you call me?
What? No, this is a turn-by-turn directions.
We give the directions around here.
I'm okay.
The power to get things done with GPS navigation and walkie-talkies. Nextel, only from Sprint.
Introducing Nextel's new multi-dimensional walkie-talkie phones. The new i580, the only camera phone built to military specifications to withstand rain, dust, and shock. It doesn't stop working until you do. and the new i670 with walkie-talkie and GPS navigation capability. The power to get things done with Nextel walkie-talkie phones. New phones start at just $49.99. Available only at Sprint or Nextel retailers. Call 800-NEXTEL-9. Nextel, only from Sprint.
Between my two phone bills, it's probably about $60 a month.
About $150.
Probably $100 a month.
With Vonage, you get unlimited calls to anywhere in the U.S. and Canada, and all the cool features you could ever want are included. And it's just $24.99 a month.
Call 1-800-939-4VON.
Plus, get 1 month free.
Vonage, leading the internet phone revolution.
Shocking allegations, an investigation, and now a resignation from a prominent evangelical leader. The Reverend Ted Haggard has been forced out of the church he started more than 20 years ago. CNN's Sean Calebs is following the story from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Sean, we were talking with Delia Gallagher, our Faith and Values correspondent. She says evangelical sources are absolutely shocked about this story.
Shocked that it unfolded so quickly as well. Just think about it. A matter of days ago, Ted Haggard was at the pinnacle of his profession, someone who even had the ear of the President of the United States. Now, for years, preaching from the pulpit here at the New Life Church in Colorado Springs, he routinely warned against the dangers of lying, drug abuse, and infidelity. Well, a matter of hours ago, an oversight committee ruled that, quote, Haggard's moral failings led to his undoing. The end came in a 6-paragraph statement from the New Life Church Overseer Board that the Reverend Ted Haggard created himself. The 4 members saying, our investigation and Pastor Haggard's public statements have proven without a doubt that he has committed sexually immoral conduct. Later saying, we have decided the most positive and productive direction for our church is his dismissal and removal. Rob Brendel worked as an associate pastor here for 10 years with Haggard.
Our senior pastor has willingly and humbly submitted himself to the authority of the Board of Overseers. They conducted an investigation into the alleged indiscretions and have come to a conclusion promptly, and we're grateful for them.
The accusations that brought Haggard down came Wednesday from a former male prostitute in Denver, Mike Jones. After first denying he knew Jones, Haggard later admitted buying crystal meth through Jones. Haggard says he never used the drugs, insisting he threw them away. Jones also alleges he and Haggard had a 3-year sexual relationship, but he failed a lie detector test on the subject.
We're so grateful that he failed the polygraph test this morning.
The person who administered the polygraph says Jones was exhausted at the time and he wants to retest him. Haggard denies a sexual relationship. The evangelical minister says he did contact Jones for a massage after a Denver concierge recommended Jones as a masseuse.
You know, look at the position he's in. What I think is unfortunate is the more of denial that he gives, the messier it looks. I think what would be best is he just admit it and move on.
Before being ousted from the New Life Church, Haggard was forced to resign the politically powerful position as president of the National Association of Evangelicals, a group that represents some 30 million Christians nationwide who routinely form a strong and solid voting bloc. Haggard was at the top of his profession, one of a handful of ministers taking part in a weekly conference call with President Bush or top White House officials. Jones chose the timing just before Tuesday's midterm election to show what he calls the hypocrisy of Haggard and others in the religious right. The issue of gay marriage is on the ballot in Colorado and several other states. Haggard and evangelicals are fighting gay marriage tooth and nail, but it's a battle now that will go on without Haggard in the pulpit. And Haggard's problems may not be over. The Denver police say they are looking into the allegations to see if any crimes have been broken. Now, church leaders told us yesterday they plan to show a videotape message from Haggard at Sunday services. Well, that plan has been scrapped. Instead, now they will read what they are calling a letter of explanation and apology from Haggard. And Carol, we should tell you, we tried to reach Reverend Haggard this evening. We were unsuccessful. We're told by the church that he's going to make no comment, and the first people will hear from him that letter tomorrow morning.
Sean, do you know if he's hired lawyers yet?
Don't know if he has hired lawyers. It is a very good question, and it wouldn't surprise me. The Denver police, as I mentioned, looking into this. We also talked to the DA's office, which is keeping abreast of the situation, but they are not investigating. But clearly, the fact that Haggard admitted to buying crystal meth in Denver has got their attention.
All right, John Caleb's live in Colorado Springs. Thank you. Staying on top of this story. In the meantime, we're also accessing stories across America right now. A second gruesome discovery in Columbia, South Carolina. Police have arrested a man suspected of killing 3 people at an apartment. Their bodies were found last night. This triple killing comes just days after another triple homicide in the same area. Police say, though, they are not connected.
Unreal! Unreal! They're going to give that boy 2 years for the murder of my daughter!
A father's anguish in Carrollton, Georgia. He just learned that the teen charged in his daughter's death would spend 2 years behind bars at most if convicted. The suspect will be tried for involuntary manslaughter in juvenile court because he was 16 at the time of the killing. Tom Yates had to be subdued after the hearing. Now, the body of that 8-year-old Amy Yates, you might recall, was found more than 2 years ago. Heartbreak and mourning in California. Hundreds of people gathered today to pay their last respects to the longest-serving firefighter to die in that huge wildfire last month. There will be more tears tomorrow. Thousands are expected at a public memorial for all 5 firefighters killed in the blaze, allegedly set by an arsonist. And a Baltimore landmark's facelift is complete. The Basilica of the Assumption is open again after a 2-year restoration. Crews gave it a fresh paint job, restored the skylights in its dome, and removed heavy stained glass windows. The nation's first Roman Catholic cathedral marks its 200th anniversary this year. Now up next, candidates moving away from their party. Is history repeating itself? Our senior political analyst, Bill Schneider, joins us live from New York next. Hey, Bill. And don't forget tonight's last call. Iraq, the economy, healthcare. What is the issue sending you to the polls on Tuesday? Give us a call and you're going to hear some of your responses later in the newsroom.
The Philips HD Flat TV with Ambilight is the only flat TV with the power to transform a mood at the touch of a button. Simplicity is a button that transforms television.
If you've had a heart attack that reduced how well your heart pumps, hear this. Your heart medications may not be enough protection. Coreg is FDA approved to increase your chance of survival when taken over time. Adding Coreg to your current treatment can help prevent another heart attack. Coreg reduces your heart's workload to help it pump better. That should be music to your ears.
Coreg is not for everyone, including people prone to asthma, certain heart rhythm problems, slow heart rate, or liver problems. Once you start Coreg, you should continue as directed by your doctor. Patients who abruptly stop may experience chest pain or an increased risk of heart attack. In some cases, patients may experience dizziness or faintness when starting Coreg. You should avoid driving or hazardous tasks if this occurs.
Ask your doctor if Coreg is right for you. Adding Coreg adds cardio protection.
With so much at stake on Tuesday, keep it right here Monday. CNN investigates how your vote could change who controls Congress. A CNN election special, Monday, 7 Eastern.
Oregon's waited a long time for results from Ted Kulingoski. But Ted's time is up. Newspapers call Kulingoski a no-show governor who has not stepped up to lead. Ron Saxton will change Oregon with education reform, more money into classrooms, a focus on results. He'll hold the line on taxes, cut waste, control spending, with leadership, not partisanship. Kulingoski won't make the changes Oregon needs, but you can. Ron Saxton for governor.
Films you don't see anywhere else. Every week, CNW14 and Film Baby bring you one of the more than 600 independent films available at filmbaby.com.
It's one of the most humiliating moments of my life when you're making fun of me.
Many Iraqi citizens hate this Western influence.
Independence Day, Wednesdays at 7 on CNW14.
2
days till the elections. The latest on the tightest races. Larry King tomorrow.
Putting his foot firmly in his mouth, Senator John Kerry tried to make a joke about the president, but he flubbed it and made it sound like he was calling people who join the military dumb. Well, now, just 2 days before the election, Kerry's fellow Democrats are trying to avoid him. It's a case of political distancing, you might say, and we've seen it a lot lately. Let's bring in CNN senior political analyst Bill Schneider. Bill, you know, just a couple of days, you'd think the party faithful would stick together, but no, huh?
Well, Carol, it was the gaffe of the week and maybe the campaign when John Kerry made what he called a blunder joke about President Bush, which came out as an insult to U.S. soldiers in Iraq, and he apologized. Senate Democratic candidate Bob Casey quickly canceled plans to campaign with Kerry in Pennsylvania. Kerry? Kerry who? No hard feelings, Kerry said. I don't want to be a distraction. And speaking of distancing, a lot of Republican candidates are keeping their distance from President Bush this year, especially if they're in a tight race, like Senator Jim Talent of Missouri, who welcomed President Bush to a fundraiser but declined to campaign with him. You know, a recent poll by CBS News and the New York Times asked whether it was helpful or harmful for President Bush to campaign for candidates. And the answer is harmful by better than 2 to 1.
Bill, also in Pennsylvania, Republican Congressman Jim Gerlach is distancing himself from Bush, and now there's some video on YouTube.com that you shared with us earlier. Tell us more about it.
Well, Jim Gerlach of Pennsylvania has publicly stated his disagreements with President Bush on issues. So, 2 transport worker union members made a YouTube video that tries to link the Republican candidate with President Bush.
We're in the neighborhood. We thought we'd bring President Bush by to say hello. Okay. Understand you guys have been distancing yourself from him, and he's feeling a little dejected.
Okay. Well, thank you.
We understand that Congressman voted with him 79% of the time.
Not the case.
Not the case.
That was a paper cutout of President Bush.
I think so.
That these guys. This is a pretty popular clip too. You know, Bush is hardly the first president to experience this kind of distancing. What other presidents have also been kind of dissed by their own?
Well, not a president, but Al Gore kept his distance from President Bill Clinton in 2000. Gore called Clinton's behavior in the Monica Lewinsky affair, quote, inexcusable. And a lot of Democrats think Gore made a big mistake distancing himself from Clinton. In 1994, President Clinton was so unpopular, Republican candidates ran ads morphing their Democratic opponents into President Clinton. Message, a vote for the Democrat is a vote for Bill Clinton. The same point Democrats are trying to make about Republicans and President Bush this year. Now, President Bush's father found himself distanced when he was running for re-election in '92. Some Republican candidates, like Senator Al D'Amato of New York, portrayed their views as closer to Clinton's than to Bush's. And when Jimmy Carter ran for re-election in 1980, most Democratic members of Congress chose not to attend their party's national convention. They kept their distance. You know, the campaign manager of a very unpopular presidential candidate tells the story of how he telephoned a candidate from his party in Ohio and said, quote, I have wonderful news for you. We're coming to campaign in your district. Well, that is wonderful news, the candidate replied, but I'm afraid I'll be in Florida visiting my mother. Wait a minute, the campaign manager said, I haven't told you when you're coming. Doesn't matter, the candidate said, whenever you show up, I'm going to be in Florida visiting my mother.
Well, you got to wonder which party is going to say the dog ate my homework come Wednesday morning. Bill Schneider, pleasure to have you tonight.
Pleasure.
As everybody knows, Bill Schneider is part of the best political team in television. Now, you can get all your America Votes 2006 information by logging on to CNN.com/ticker. Well, clearly, Iraq is a major issue in Tuesday's U.S. elections, but are the U.S. elections a big deal in Iraq? Coming up, John Roberts hits the streets of Baghdad to find out. Also, lawyers killed, the chief judge changed, and a host of other courtroom dramas. As we wait for a verdict in Saddam Hussein's first trial, we're going to take a look at all the twists and turns. Stay with us right here in the newsroom.
Excuse me. So what exactly are you guys?
Sneakers, baby. Vintage 1985 high tops, limited edition. Old school.
Wow, you guys sound pretty cool.
You know how I roll.
So how's the postal carrier going to handle all you guys?
It's all good. The lady drives a big truck.
Wow.
With lots of room in the truck, the post office comes to you with free package pickup.
My business is affected by rising energy costs, just like yours. The good news is that in my lifetime, electricity from clean coal technologies will continue to cost way less than power from other fuels. Go here, they'll tell you.
Choosing a mutual fund? Do you want low cost or proven performance? At zero price, our funds give you both. We have a wide selection of low-cost funds with proven performance, including our equity income, capital appreciation, and blue chip growth fund. And because we offer funds with no loads and low expenses, your investment goes even further. Visit our website or call our investment guidance specialists at 1-800-538-7830 to find out which of over 90 T. Rowe Price funds are right for you. Low cost plus proven performance. T. Rowe Price Mutual Funds. Call 1-800-538-7830 and find out why more and more investors are choosing T. Rowe Price. Request a complete prospectus or profile with investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information to read and consider carefully before investing. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
You're finally home. I put your mail on the kitchen table. You got a movie from that DVD place. What's that about? Do you like waiting for movies to come in the mail? You should go to Vongo.com. For less than $10 a month, you can download all the movies you want. You even get your first 14 days free. Tell you what, you go to Vongo.com, I'll be in your kitchen making popcorn.
Politics equals life.
Progress.
Equality. Madness. Power.
This election night, the best political team on television tells it like it really is. Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, Lou Dobbs, Paula Zahn, and Larry King. Election night, CNN Tuesday night, 7 Eastern.
We're right here in the newsroom with your headlines tonight and tomorrow. Election day looming, and President Bush is whipping up Republican crowds in 10 states just this weekend alone. His focus is in Colorado today. Traditional family values. The gay marriage debate dominates the political talk in that state. And the sex and drug scandal swirling around the Reverend Ted Haggard has cost him his job. The New Life Church Board removed Haggard as pastor of the 14,000-strong congregation just hours ago. Haggard is accused of using drugs and having sex with an alleged male prostitute. He denies both. Harsh words aimed at the Secretary of Defense from a newspaper dedicated to military coverage. Army Times Publications is running a Monday editorial urging Donald Rumsfeld out. The White House is, quote, shrugging it off. And a spokesman says that the editorial is Election Day timed. Listen up, Big Bird. Organizers of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade want to make the traditional events safer than ever. Those big balloons will be more restricted, and spectators will be moved to safer areas off the route. 2 people were hurt by falling debris during last year's parade. And did you really think Lance Armstrong could stay away from competition? Well, tomorrow, the 7-time Tour de France winner will be in the pack for the New York City Marathon. It's his first race of that distance on foot, at least. He's using the event to raise awareness and money for his cancer foundation. And now it's your turn to choose the news. You know, just 30 minutes ago, we asked you to send us your questions regarding stories you haven't seen covered in the media. Well, John Barry wants to know more about a man who was led away in handcuffs at today's rally for Senator George Allen. Well, the man who was taken away was Mike Stark, the same guy who was forced out of a hotel earlier this week after he heckled Senator Allen. Stark is a liberal blogger, and he's been shadowing Allen. An Allen supporter accused Stark of pushing him to the ground today, and police say Stark was being held in detention in case Allen supporters want to press charges. I want to thank you for your questions. Okay, so when Americans go to the polls Tuesday, the world watches. That includes Iraq, where people believe a change in the American Congress will mean change in their own backyards. Well, earlier I spoke with CNN's John Roberts, who's in Baghdad. John, have you been able to talk to Iraqis about their sense of whether they really care about what happens here in the United States on Election Day?
You know, it's not getting the same sort of saturation attention here a half a world away that it is in the United States. But what happens on Tuesday could have a significant impact, Carol, on what happens on the ground here in Iraq. So people are paying attention to it, even if they're not completely clear on exactly who the players are.
Though neither is up for re-election, the Iraqis we talked to today still associate the Republican and Democratic parties with George Bush and John Kerry. This man, a Christian, says it doesn't matter who wins. If it's Bush, it might be better, but at least we know him. Abu Farhat, who wouldn't tell us whether he is Shiite or Sunni, says the most important thing for us is that U.S. forces leave Iraq. So any government that takes power, Democrats or Republican, we want them to do us a favor and get the Americans out of Iraq. That's what we're hoping. And we hope John Kerry, Democrats he means, wins the election. He's better than Bush because Bush destroyed Iraq. And Basim Ghazi, a Shiite, told us it doesn't matter who wins, but the old policy towards Iraq. We hope it changes and that the occupation ends and there is democracy in Iraq. What's important is the American policy towards Iraq, that the occupation leaves and that Iraq has peace.
So you can see from that, Carol, that even though they are aware of the differences between Republicans and Democrats, really what's important for these people is that U.S. troops eventually leave Iraq, leave it to Iraqis.
So how are they planning on monitoring these elections?
Well, you know, Carol, they've got all kinds of ways that they can monitor the situation around the world. There's all kinds of television channels here. There's satellite channels that come in. They even get CNN International, so they can watch all of that, even though they might not understand the language at CNN. But really what's on their radar screen immediately isn't the November 7th elections. It's the first verdict it's the verdict in the first Saddam Hussein trial, which is expected to come out tomorrow. That's something that they really care about.
All right, and whatever that verdict may be, how do you think that it might be expressed on the streets?
Well, you see, this is the open question. The Iraqi government certainly believes that there could be an uptick in the violence among Sunnis if Saddam Hussein were to be given the death penalty. That's why they've ordered all leave canceled for the Iraqi army, ordered them back to their barracks. And there's been a curfew declared for tomorrow between 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock at night, 12-hour period. You lump that together with the regular overnight curfews, and literally nothing will move in this city for about 36 hours or so. They're hoping, as in the past when these curfews have been declared, that it'll keep a lid on the violence, but nobody's clear at this point. It could be that if Saddam Hussein is given the death penalty, that the Sunnis could erupt. Some people are warning, and not to say that this would happen, but some people are warning that the country could tip into all-out civil war because of that verdict.
John, a lot at stake in the next few days. Thank you very much. Well, it's already Sunday in Iraq, Judgment Day for the former president. The crimes against humanity trial against Saddam Hussein began more than a year ago. And a few hours from now, the verdict that may mean the death penalty. A little background now from CNN's Anish Rahman.
With a future in doubt, Iraq's bloody past is coming back into focus. Goodbye, Saddam! Saddam Hussein, the toppled dictator, the president turned prisoner, the defendant on trial for crimes against humanity, now faces judgment and potentially the death penalty. It's been just over a year since this, the first of perhaps 12 trials against Saddam, was called to order. This one for the execution of at least 148 men and boys, for mass torture, for the deportation and imprisonment of thousands after a failed assassination attempt on Saddam back in July 1982. It's a trial that's seen a change of the chief judge, the killing of 3 defense lawyers, a string of boycotts by Saddam and his 7 co-defendants, walkouts by their lawyers, multiple breaks, and multiple reasons for legal doubt.
Everybody has a right to fair trial. And this is a landmark case. This was the opportunity to turn the page. And it's an opportunity that really has an opportunity that's been missed.
It was also meant to be an opportunity to move on. The first witness in court stood as the first Iraqi victim to publicly confront the former tyrant, detailing gruesome stories of torture. There were documents bearing Saddam's signature, evidence prosecutors claimed proving command responsibility, and prompting a dramatic statement from Saddam himself.
Saddam Hussein is telling you that he is responsible.
Saddam's been combative from the start, fueling chaos in the court, challenging the legitimacy of the process and claiming abuse by his captors. It's never been lost on the defendants that this trial is being watched by a country divided in war, and defense lawyers are warning of the consequences.
If this tribunal ends by death penalty of the president and his comrades, believe me, the doors of the hell will be open in Iraq and the neighbors of the Arab neighbors of Iraq.
Even if Saddam Hussein is sentenced to death, when that would be carried out is anyone's guess. There's an automatic appeals process and no time limit for how long that could take. Anish Rahman, CNN, Baghdad.
The Saddam Hussein verdict is expected to begin at 2 a.m. Eastern. Stay tuned to CNN for continuing coverage throughout the morning. As soon as we have the news, we'll be on it with reaction from Baghdad. Meantime, 45 hours and counting. Will the dead rise on Election Day? We're going to tell you about a very unusual kind of voter fraud. Plus, in the spotlight or in a bad light, a closer look at what some of the candidates are doing to put their opponents where everyone can see them. You're in the newsroom.
Turn left.
So left up here.
Is that the new BlackBerry from Sprint?
Yeah, fast downloads, GPS, my calendar. I'd be lost without it.
That's cool.
BlackBerry devices powered by Sprint, now with real-time GPS capability.
So he's really...
Yeah.
So left up here.
Get new BlackBerry devices at Sprint or Nextel stores or call 1-8-SPRINT-BIZ and get on the nation's largest mobile broadband network. Sprint. Power up.
E-Trade introduces the latest investing technology with an easy-to-use risk analyzer and powerful asset allocation tool for unparalleled control of your portfolio. Is it any wonder investors everywhere find it irresistible? Be enlightened.
As candidates crisscross the country on this final weekend of campaigning, we'll tell you about a political ad with a unique message.
Yeah.
Don't vote this November.
Don't vote.
Don't vote.
Don't vote.
Please don't vote.
Do what's right and don't vote.
You heard it right, an internet push encouraging voters not to vote. We're going to tell you why.
Yeah, that's tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern, right here on CNN.
If you've had a heart attack that reduced how well your heart pumps, hear this. Your heart medications may not be enough protection. Coreg is FDA approved to increase your chance of survival when taken over time. Adding Coreg to your current treatment can help prevent another heart attack. Coreg reduces your heart's workload to help it pump better. That should be music to your ears.
Coreg is not for everyone, including people prone to asthma, certain heart rhythm problems, slow heart rate, or liver problems. Once you start Coreg, you should continue as directed by your doctor. Patients who abruptly stop may experience chest pain or an increased risk of heart attack. In some cases, patients may experience dizziness or faintness when starting Coreg. You should avoid driving or hazardous tasks if this occurs.
Ask your doctor if Coreg is right for you. Adding Coreg adds cardio protection.
Honey, look! Dolphin! Wow, I can't believe it!
There's a better way to phone for less.
Sweet bondage!
Unlimited local and long-distance calling, just $24.99 a month. That's a savings of up to 50% on your phone bill.
Honey, the dolphins! Come on, let's go play!
Bondage, one smart decision among many, many stupid ones. Call 1-800-930-4VON.
This year, type races can turn on almost anything. That's why there's so much concern about electronic voting fraud. But in New York State, they're also concerned with a more low-tech type of voter fraud. CNN's Mary Snow takes a look.
It's a suspicion that's haunted elections past, but could the names of dead people potentially be used in present elections? That's a question posed by the Poughkeepsie Journal of New York. It did its own analysis of the state's new database of 11 million plus registered voters.
We found that in New York State, in its voter registration database, there were as many as 77,000 people who were deceased but were still registered to vote.
Reporter John Farrow says, make no mistake, the analysis is not an exact science. And he says he did not find any fraud, but says his investigation points to the possibility of it.
Our report quantifies, if you will, or gives an estimate for the first time of the potential for fraud involving deceased registered voters in this brand new database.
That database is only 3 months old. A spokesman for the Board of Elections was unable to appear on camera for an interview, but told us that he was concerned by the paper's results. He added that the board will complete its own analysis by May of 2007. Doug Chapin of the nonpartisan group electionline.org says he's not all that surprised by the findings.
It's worth looking carefully at, but I don't think all 77,000 of those people are going to rise from the dead and descend on the polls on Election Day.
Chapin says suspicions about dead people voting are nothing new and swirled in Chicago following the election of John F. Kennedy. Chapin says more often than not, it's more fiction than fact.
You hear stories about perhaps in the 1960 election whether or not there were some dead voters who turned out to vote on Election Day. Rarely proven, often repeated.
And it's being repeated again in an election year with so many tight races where everything is coming under scrutiny. To illustrate the point that every vote counts, analysts look to the 2004 governor's race in Washington state that had 2 recounts. Democrat Christine Gregoire was ultimately named the winner with a 133-vote victory. Mary Snow, CNN, New York.
Stay with CNN throughout Election Day. We're going to bring you live updates from 7 to midnight Eastern. Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, Paula Zahn, and Lou Dobbs are all part of the best political team on television. Then at midnight, election coverage continues with a special edition of Larry King Live. Hear from the winners and losers across the country. In the meantime, it's time for iReport, your chance to join the world's most powerful news team. And we have an award-winning edition to share with you tonight. Jackie Jarris has been tracking all these details. Some viewers are really submitting some terrific photos and videos.
It's been unbelievable, Carol. What a week we've had. You know, everything from Halloween to politics, from war to weather. Our iReport of the day, this is a great photo, and this was just taken just this morning in California at Vandenberg Air Force Base. This was sent in from Anthony Galvin III, and there you can see this was a military satellite which was launched on the Delta IV rocket, and it's going to be used for global forecasting. Our next, this is the award winner that we were talking about here from Tom Kenny. You might have recognized this picture from last week, the northeastern storms. Tom Kenny sent us in like 10 different pictures along with some video. This is from Dartmouth, Massachusetts. About 6 boats from the strong winds lost their moorings and washed on the shore. So a big thank you to Tom Kenny. He wins our gratitude, and he also wins an iReport t-shirt. And if you want to be part of the CNN iReport team, log on to cnn.com/exchange. Send us your photos. One idea, perhaps, Veterans Week. That's coming up on the 11th, 1 week from today.
That's right. I think we're going to have some big and special coverage on that day. We'll be sharing a lot of the iNews reports, so hopefully lots of people will be sending things in. Even family photos would be terrific. All right. Thanks, Jackie. Well, unassuming video blogger or political assassin, one misstep can end a political career, but only if someone sees it. So we're going to show you how some candidates make sure they don't miss their opponent's gaffes. That's next in the newsroom.
Travelocity presents the Roaming Gnome, denouncer of travel myths. Our first myth, all travel sites are the same.
No way. Only Travelocity guarantees the whole shebang. Your trip, your stay, and of course your price.
Myth 2, things disappear in the Bermuda Triangle.
Come on, that's not true.
Only Travelocity guarantees not just the price, but your entire travel experience. Travelocity, you'll never roam alone.
Sunday, CNN cuts through the fog of war and gets to the truth. From the battlefront to the home front, CNN makes sense of the war. This Week at War, CNN Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern.
At the door, there's a man who will greet you.
And the food is all that you've been dreaming of. The games are hot and they're right for the winning.
I think that I'm in love.
I know a place where you'll find some friends and win some dough. I know a place where we can go.
Oregon students are our future, but only 59 cents of every education dollar gets to our classrooms, ranking Oregon 40th.
I'm Shirley Parsons. We can do better. The First Class Education Initiative will put 65 cents in the classroom. That's $230 million more dollars a year for higher teacher salaries, updated textbooks, and computers in the classroom. And all with no tax increase.
Join Shirley Parsons and put our classrooms first.
Illegal immigrants are here because there are jobs, right?
A lot of them are doing jobs nobody else wants to do.
If we stop the flow of jobs, we stop illegal immigration.
I'm Chuck Riley. For companies who knowingly hire illegal workers, it's time to crack down with harsh fines and jail time. And we need to arrest and prosecute human traffickers who smuggle people into our country. George Bush won't do the job, so we'll just get it done here in Oregon.
Representative Chuck Riley. He's fighting for us.
Well, before we got Comcast Workplace, we were having a hard time staying on top of things. Portfolios, scheduling, auditions.
Oh, horrific.
It got pretty ugly.
I want my own trailer and a masseuse. This is so beneath me.
A lot of it's done online now. Sure, we looked at DSL, but Comcast gives us more speed.
It's poperific.
And it includes McAfee Security Free. Bottom line,
It's poperific.
Comcast gives us the performance we're looking for.
Comcast Workplace, broadband for business.
Political team on television tells it like it really is. CNN Tuesday night, 7 Eastern.
In the past, when political candidates said or did something embarrassing, they might have gotten away with it. But now, every little thing they do is watched and reported on the blogs. For example, take a look at this. A liberal blogger gets into a scuffle with staffers for incumbent Republican Senator George Allen. This video was taken Tuesday by an affiliate in Richmond, Virginia, and has been posted on some 186,000 blogs. Today, the same blogger was taken away by police after an Allen supporter claimed the man pushed him at a rally. Video blogs are the newest weapons in politics, and the so-called bloggers, that's blogger with a V, are changing the landscape of the election season. Gary Tuckman shows us how.
Conrad Burns is campaigning fiercely to try to keep his U.S. Senate seat.
I know how contagious it can be whenever everybody gets together.
And when the Montana Republican hits the trail, he is shadowed by this man with the video camera. A man who comes faithfully to Conrad Burns' events, but who does not come with good intentions.
I definitely want John Tester as the next senator from Montana.
I think we should talk about taxes a little bit here.
John Tester is the Democratic challenger, but Kevin O'Brien keeps his camera on Conrad Burns, hoping the three-term incumbent says something wrong or embarrassing.
Oh, Hugo! I'll call you back, Hugo.
So he can put it for the world to see on the immensely popular video-sharing website YouTube. This campaign event took place in Polson, Montana.
That's Hugo. Hugo is a nice little Guatemalan man who's doing some painting for me in Virginia.
Terrorism was a topic at this picnic in Miles City.
To fight this enemy that's a taxi cab driver in the daytime, but a killer at night.
And more of the same 2 days later in Butte.
Where our kids can go to bed at night and not worry about a guy that drives a taxi cab in the daytime and chills at night.
Campaign operatives are taking advantage of this new technology to try to politically harm their candidates' rivals, as Virginia Senator George Allen learned.
This fellow here over here with the yellow shirt, Macaca, or whatever his name is, he's with my opponent. He's following us around everywhere.
To some, the word macaca is racially insensitive. Allen issued an apology. Kevin O'Brien is paid by the Tester campaign. He says he's put nearly 17,000 miles on his car in less than half a year following Conrad Burns.
Sometimes I'm stunned and, have to go back to the videos to make sure that my eyes and my ears weren't tricking me.
His eyes weren't tricking him when Conrad Burns started nodding off at an agriculture hearing held in Montana. This clip with music dubbed in has been downloaded more than 90,000 times according to YouTube. But is this below-the-belt politics? John Tester doesn't think so.
A lot of people fall asleep. I fall asleep, and I'm sure you've fallen asleep before. Is that a little unfair?
Well, that meeting was about ag policy. Montana's #1 industry is agriculture. I wouldn't be falling asleep when we're talking about ag policy. It's pretty doggone important to our economy.
Not surprisingly, Burns' campaign workers don't enjoy seeing their candidate ridiculed.
It looks like a big lunch.
But at this campaign event at a senior center, the senator and the renegade cameraman take some time to say hi to each other.
I'm hungry, dear. I'm hungry. I'll get over here and there's calories and cholesterol.
Senator Burns, it seems, likes O'Brien.
We love him. He's really a nice guy, and we have to feed him at our picnics and our dinners because I don't think the Democrats pay him very much.
In the last congressional election year of 2004, YouTube did not exist. So this is new territory for politicians like Conrad Burns, whose opinions about it may be shaped by whether they win or lose. Gary Tuckman, CNN, Bozeman, Montana.
So what kind of an impact are these video bloggers really having? Well, I asked Garrett Graff, editor-at-large for the Washingtonian magazine, the first blogger to be credentialed by the White House.
What the big change is that it forces a candidate to always believe that they are now on live TV.
Yeah, but you would think a man like John Kerry, all right, you know about his speech last Tuesday. Okay, you would think a man like John Kerry would watch himself then that much more carefully. Let's show the audience right now the clip of what he had to say before these college students.
You know, education, if you make the most of it, you study hard, you do your homework, and you make an effort to be smart, you can do well. If you don't, you get stuck in a rack.
Okay, now you know the fallout from that, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, the Republicans are making a heyday out of this, that here he is, a former Vietnam vet, dissing the American troops in Iraq as if their job wasn't good enough. So you have a clip like that. With what kind of speed does it travel on the internet?
Well, I mean, that's the really revolutionary part that we're seeing with YouTube and other sites, is that thanks to cell phone video and cell phone photos, literally people could be watching it on the internet, on YouTube or other sites like that, before the candidate's speech is over. That you can upload it directly from your phone to the website, even as it's happening.
Yeah, but if it's a candidate, okay, maybe not someone with the stature of a John Kerry, but say a candidate tripping, or, in the case of Gary Tuckman's piece, a candidate falling asleep at an agricultural hearing. I mean, really, is that so bad?
Well, it depends on the candidate, and it depends on the circumstances. You have a situation where you can capture a very small moment and have it play into people's larger fears. If you are John McCain looking to run in 2008, you have to be very wary of any trip, any fall, any stumble, anything like that could get captured on video, because all of a sudden people will begin to see him as old. I mean, this is what happened to Bob Dole in 1996. So it doesn't, if you're John Edwards and someone catches you falling or tripping going up onto a stage, that doesn't matter. But if you're John McCain, it could have a very big impact on your presidential hopes.
But, Garrett, do you ever think that, just on the issue of fairness, I mean, people can take a moment like that, right? One trip, okay, a moment like that, and it gets twisted to the nth degree. And millions of people see it on the internet outside the context of, dare I say, conventional media and the so-called experts to parse that moment and give it maybe a reality check. Is that fair? I mean, doesn't that actually rob the public of getting at the truth?
Well, that's the big question here, is sort of how much faith people should put in these moments. But from a campaign standpoint, the great thing is that you don't have to rely on CNN or any of the other sort of mainstream media gatekeepers to get a moment like that. You can get that moment without anyone helping you.
Stay with CNN throughout Election Day. We're going to bring you live updates from 7 to midnight Eastern. Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, Paula Zahn, and Lou Dobbs are all part of the best political team on television. Then at midnight, election coverage continues with a special edition of Larry King Live. Hear from the winners and losers across the country. And now it's time for you to choose the news. Brian Wilbert and several other viewers are asking for more background on the Bishop Catherine Jeffords story. Glad to do it, Brian. Shorey made history today when she assumed leadership of the Episcopal Church. That's the American branch of the worldwide Anglican Communion. The former Bishop of Nevada was invested today at the National Cathedral in Washington. Bishop Shorey is a private pilot who holds a PhD in oceanography. Her elevation to the head of the church is widely seen as a triumph for women and a positive step for gay priests and same-sex couples, both of which she supports. Bishop Catherine Jeffords Shorey is the first woman to lead the Episcopal Church in its 520-year history. Thanks for the question, Brian. And a check of the hour's headlines after the break, but first your responses to our last call question. What issue is sending you to the polls on Tuesday? Here's what you had to say.
There are many issues that send me to the polls. I want lower taxes. I want to put a ban on late-term abortions, and I want to end homosexual marriage.
I'm going to the polls this year to protest the Iraq War and the lack of leadership.
The issue that's definitely sending me to the polls on Tuesday is the pro-life issue, the respect for the unborn.
It's all this focus on gay marriage and all these minor issues when children are starving and wars are going on, and I think we need some fresh breath and leadership.
I'm going to the polls to make America stronger, back our troops, keep the country safe from terrorists, and vote for people who back our troops in the Army.
Certainly the war in Iraq, and most definitely just all the corruption and scandals that have gone on.
The champagne glasses may seem familiar, but you've never seen a car virtually park itself. The new LS, unprecedented.
The Philips HD Flat TV with Ambilight is the only flat TV with the power to transform a mood at the touch of a button. Simplicity is a button that transforms television.
She turned around and left the cave, and I'm standing there by the pool of water alone, and it just brought up a whole bunch of issues that...
W tym piórze nie ma atramentu.
What?
I wtedy możemy zacząć dopiero pracować.
Using a broker you can't understand doesn't make much sense either. That's why Edward Jones speaks in a language you can understand. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Ranked highest in investor satisfaction with full-service brokerage firms by J.D. Power and Associates.
Kids are just better with technology than their parents. Like, by the time I graduate from college, we'll be building clean coal power plants that are pollution-free, and that includes greenhouse gases. Go here, they'll explain it.
Turn left.
So left up here.
Is that the new BlackBerry from Sprint?
Yeah, fast downloads, GPS, my calendar. I'd be lost without it.
That's cool.
BlackBerry devices powered by Sprint, now with real-time GPS capability.
So he's really...
Yeah. So left up here.
Get new BlackBerry devices at Sprint or Nextel stores or call 1-8-SPRINT-BIZ and get on the nation's largest mobile broadband network. Sprint. Power up.
The last time anyone saw them, they were alive.
I don't want you to worry, okay?
My responsibility was to save him. That's my job. Without a trace. Every weeknight at 7. Only on TNT.
I must have inherited my driving skills from my birth mom.
I don't know about that, but you definitely got her hair and eyes.
What about her vision?
Vision?
She had the vision to choose you and Mom to be my parents, didn't she?
Adoption. It's about love. A message from LDS Family Services.
Closed captioning hours provided by Nature's Tears Eye Mist Dry Relief.
Nature's Tears Eye Mist, the natural way to soothe and moisturize tired, strained, dry eyes. Nature's Tears Eye Mist. Now, doesn't that feel better?
Get more election coverage. Get it free on your desktop.
Monday, CNN Pipelines free. Behind-the-scenes access, 4 live feeds. The video coverage you won't find anywhere else. CNN Pipeline free all day Monday. Go to CNN.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen Frazier at CNN Center in Atlanta with a welcome for all of our viewers in the United States and around the world. We have an update on this hour's top story, verdicts in the first trial of Saddam Hussein and 7 defendants. The former president and his co-defendants are charged with crimes against humanity for the Dujail crackdown in 1982. Hussein could face the death penalty if he's found guilty in the deaths of 148 villagers there. A strict curfew for Baghdad and 2 neighboring provinces went into effect earlier in effort to prevent any violence. All vehicles and even pedestrians are banned from the streets until further notice. Baghdad International Airport is also closed. This security lockdown extends to 2 other provinces. Michael Ware is in the capital. He can give us a sense of how apprehensive the mood might be pervading the city at this hour. Michael, good to see you. Is there any sense of the mood, or is everything just shuttered and behind doors?
Well, it's more the latter. Everything is absolutely locked down tight. The curfew, the ban that you speak of, is not just for vehicles, but is even for pedestrians. So nothing literally shall be moving on Baghdad streets today or in the key towns in the other provinces which are also affected by this curfew. Now, Iraqi TV is on its normal programming. People are at home, but they're trying to go about their business as best they can under these conditions. However, these are conditions that the people of Baghdad in particular are becoming used to. We see security clampdowns from time to time. This time, it's different. They're waiting for the verdict in the Saddam trial.
And waiting with some concern. One of the defense attorneys, Michael, is quoted as saying that the gates of hell will open in Baghdad should it be true that Saddam Hussein receives the death penalty for this or is even found guilty. Let's go back for the sake of our viewers and explain what this trial is about. And it's directly sectarian violence because of an alleged assassination attempt against Saddam Hussein and his retinue in Dujail in 1982. It's only 35 miles north of Baghdad, some people shooting from an orchard. Let us know what happened after that.
Yes, well, what happened after that is that Saddam Hussein's regime instigated what it would have then called an investigation. What happened is that Saddam effectively charged his relatives in charge of the Mukhabarat, or intelligence service, to find the culprits. Now, to do that, they went into this small village. There was a number of deaths reported in the first days after the so-called assassination attempt, but we saw the orchards in the village, the mainstay of the village, razed and destroyed. It's from there that some of the gunmen fired. We then effectively saw groups of families, a total of 399 people, men, women and children, rounded up. Now, they were then taken off for interrogation. Now, by interrogation, under Saddam's regime, that clearly includes torture. Now, that's electric shocks, beatings, sleep deprivation, all manner of horrors. Now, of that 399, an unknown number succumbed to torture. The group was eventually moved to Abu Ghraib prison, and after that, they were finally taken to a small detention facility way out in a southern desert. Now, in 1984, 148 of that 399 were named in a court proceeding. Now, in that court proceeding, all 148 were sentenced to death in one very brief session by the chief judge, who is also on trial here. So these are the crimes for which these 8 men are facing trial or have faced trial, and today they await their judgment.
We should let viewers know some of the other people. You mentioned one of them, the Chief Justice in that court proceeding you described there. It was called the Revolutionary Court in those days. Another, the head of the secret police, you mentioned that with its formal name there, the Mukhabarat. Others were sort of local Ba'ath Party officials from the Dujail region itself, which was a Shiite area. And what the defense has been saying, Michael, correct me if we're interpreting this incorrectly, in this trial, the defense has been saying that these people were Iranian-backed Shiite militia people who were actually seeking to upset the government of Iraq, and Iran were at war at that time, and so these executions were legal and justified because of the circumstances of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, that has been a keystone or a cornerstone of this defense, that yes, this was wartime, and the defense has tried to highlight the fact that this was an attempt on the life of our head of state. Now, their argument, more or less, is along the lines of, well, what did you expect the state to do? It can't just sit back and allow such an assault on its president. So they're trying to argue that this was justified within the circumstances of the day, and that procedural fairness, for what it's worth, in Iraq in the 1980s was carried out. So that's their defense. Nonetheless, these men now face crimes against humanity.
Now, you talked about procedural fairness as it existed back then. The procedure of this trial has been stunning for Iraqis. They've been watching it on national television. And we should point out, by the way, too, Michael, that the word of the verdict is going to reach us with the video, anyway, from the courtroom today, which should be underway any moment now. It will reach us with a 20-minute delay for the sake of security. This trial, these proceedings, were absolutely mesmerizing for the average man on the street. I know you've been in and out all through this trial. 3 judges, a number of defense attorneys killed, another who fled in fear for his life. These rants and outbursts, one defendant speaking in his underwear. Some days when there were no defendants, they didn't show up. Other days when they were there, their lawyers were not there. This has, it's almost been high comedy, even though it's been incredibly serious for the future of this nation.
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, this trial process from the beginning had more than a hint of theatre about it. Now, I mean, many Iraqis here on the ground have been cynical about this trial. After an initial novelty period, when it was something extraordinary to see someone like Saddam actually in the dock, people's attention has not been transfixed by this trial or the subsequent trial that is currently underway. At best, normal Iraqis have a passing interest in it. By and large, to the Iraqi on the street, their view is, why is this man still alive? For them, justice could have been and should have been served a long time ago in the wake of his capture. So this theatre, sometimes which we've seen descend into the theatre of the absurd, has essentially been a propaganda or public relations gift, more or less, to Saddam Hussein. We saw him hijack the events time and time again, overbearing and dominating the judges, captivating people on the TV for those who are watching, using this trial and the trial that's also underway now on separate charges to call people to arms, to ask them to rise up against the occupier, or indeed to tell them to stop killing each other. It's been a grand opportunity for him to seize the moment and continue dominating some of the headlines here. But in terms of the reality of what's happening here on the ground, in terms of the many wars currently plaguing Iraq, the insurgency war, the civil war, the ongoing competition between US proxies and Iranian-backed proxies here in this country, Saddam's verdict will have little, if any, impact on any of that. Indeed, out in the Sunni insurgency, it would be the merest handful of % of insurgents and insurgent attacks that have anything to do with either Saddam Hussein or a desire to bring him back to power. So ultimately, all this trial has done has offered Saddam a platform and now offered the insurgents or the Shia militias, depending on the nature of the verdict, yet more opportunity for mayhem.
It has been a platform that he has extended by stalling quite a bit, and there's even a hint now, Michael, that there could be one more effort to stall. His defense lawyers have brought a request for a 60-day delay in the announcement of any kind of verdict. They say that the timing of events is actually arranged to coincide with U.S. elections and therefore not fair to the defendants here. We don't know what's happened to that request, do we?
No, we don't at this stage, and I mean that's something for the investigating or for the trial judges to determine themselves. I mean, what that's talking about is actually apprehended bias. What they're saying is that this trial is not happening in a political vacuum, and that external political pressures, in this case, in particular, the US midterm elections, are having an undue effect over the proceedings. Now, they would be asking the judges to look at that and make a determination of that themselves. However, that's most unlikely to happen. We don't know, but it would not appear to be something that anyone is expecting. In fact, we're being told, as recently as yesterday, that the verdict is, in fact, expected to come out today. Now, it's been impossible for this trial to be conducted within a political vacuum, as you would expect anywhere else in the West. Indeed, many of the proceedings here, many of the events, many of the pressures that have been brought to bear on this court, and many of the comments that have been made by this government, including one made by the Prime Minister of Iraq only yesterday, which clearly seemed to predetermine the verdict, simply would not stand up in the West. In terms of Western legal procedures, I mean, this trial has been rather absurd, and it's most likely that it would not have survived to this point, or alternatively, it presents clear and evident grounds for appeal. Now, we're already most likely expecting to see this trial phase to end today with the verdict. However, it's anticipated that the appeal phase will now begin with the sentence of death or with the sentence of life imprisonment. The appeal phase of the Iraqi judicial process is automatically kicked in. So even if Saddam Hussein and his cohorts are sentenced to death today or to life imprisonment, today is far from the end. It's then referred to an appeal court. That appeal court can take an undetermined amount of time to look at the facts of the case, to look at the law, to look at the procedures, to determine whether anything went wrong. Now, according to the Constitution, there's no limit to that time that that court can take to adjudicate this verdict. However, once the appeal court does make its decision, it then must have the sentence carried out within 30 days of the announcement of that decision. So this is only the end of one phase of this Saddam trial saga. We're about to enter another, potentially just as interesting and perhaps subject to even more political consideration.
Indeed. Excellent explanation there of that. And take a breath here while we prepare to discuss the larger issues against which this is playing out, Michael. You talked about the fact that the insurgency won't be affected at all by this news. The insurgency is still very, very intense. And in another operation that is related but not against insurgents, Iraqi authorities say that they arrested 50 or killed 50 al-Qaeda fighters in an operation just yesterday. So there are movements against death squads in Sadr City. There are movements against alleged foreign fighters, al-Qaeda members. So the security efforts continue unabated, and so too the attacks that take the lives of civilians.
Yes, unfortunately that's true. I mean, the war continues here. Now, that's completely separate to this trial. I mean, this trial is being held during combat, during the war. So obviously within a security environment, this trial poses its own challenges. But within a broader conflict, it makes it even more difficult. And as you say, Al-Qaeda is still out there. It is still leading an insurgency in the west of Iraq. We also have Baathists and Iraqi nationalists and Iraqi Islamists waging their war against the US occupier and American troops. At the same time, we have a civil war underway as Sunni and Shia death squads go at each other's populations. We're seeing bodies still turning up on the streets of the capital every morning, executed with bullets to the head, many of these bodies showing signs of torture. We also have the powerful Shia militias, which are the fundamental building blocks of this government, consolidating their power. So there's all manner of things that are going on around this trial, and this trial will have little, if any, bearing on any of them, except as a propaganda opportunity to launch some kind of attack in the name of this verdict or citing this verdict. This verdict, whether Saddam lives, whether he dies, or whether he goes to jail, is not going to affect the insurgency one way or the other. It's not going to make it stronger. It's not going to make it weaker. All it does is presents it with a public relations opportunity to do some kind of attack if it so wishes.
Well, that's a good explanation, Michael, because what we're hearing from some people outside of Iraq is that in the name of Saddam, there could be renewed violence. The Sunni fighters who represent his side of politics in Iraq would use his sentence as a rallying cry, and conversely, should he escape the death penalty, the Shiite militias that you just mentioned may also go on a rampage, feeling that he wasn't treated harshly enough for his crimes.
Absolutely. I mean, it can go either way, depending upon the nature of this verdict. I mean, very much it reflects the fact that this country teeters on a knife edge. It could slip in either direction. Nonetheless, within the Sunni insurgency are primarily those responsible for the daily drip feed of attacks on American forces, the roadside bombs, the sniper attacks, many of the ambushes. I mean, most of the American casualties can be accounted for by the Sunni insurgents, essentially guerrilla forces attacking the American conventional army. However, within those groups, even though American commanders and politicians like to describe elements of this insurgency as Saddamist, it's effectively a non-term. I've spent a lot of time studying the insurgency. I've been with many of these insurgents, many of them top officers from Saddam's former regime, many of them top Baathists, many of them from the intelligence service, from the secret police. Honestly, virtually none of them are fighting for Saddam. Virtually none of them are fighting to bring Saddam back. That's got nothing to do with this fight here in Iraq right now. Indeed, many of these men, although they are Sunnis like Saddam, although they come from Tikrit even, which is Saddam's hometown, or any other of the Sunni strongholds from which Saddam drew the ranks of his regime and which he returned with financial and other blessings. Even among these men, very few of them will be crying any tears over the loss of Saddam. When Saddam conducted one of his vicious purges of his regime, it was the families of these men who now lead the insurgency who suffered. Though they served for him, many of them lost cousins or lost land or lost relatives. Some of them themselves were often detained in prison for certain periods before being released, as was the whim of Saddam or his two sons, Uday and Qusay. So even within Saddam's power bloc, within the Sunni groups, the Sunni bloc that supported his regime, there is very little love lost. Many of these men indeed say, or certainly were saying in the wake of the invasion, US forces came and removed Saddam. Thank you. Then the question was, but when are you leaving? So there is very little motivation in the heart of the insurgency that is driven by any kind of loyalty to Saddam. But like I said, the verdict does present an opportunity, be it for the Sunni insurgents or the Shia militias, depending on which way it goes.
And so what we have here, Michael, is a day of dual importance. It is Saddam's day, quite literally, and that of his 7 co-defendants. It's also a day for this fledgling judiciary of a fledgling democracy to try to bring this stage of events to a close and move on to the next that you described so well there. We want to let our viewers know that we are standing by for news of this verdict. We have you, Michael Ware, in Baghdad. We have our Anish Raman in the courtroom, and he'll be the first to let us know what happens. And we have one of our producers, Jomana Karache, in the media room next to the courtroom for other details. In fact, she may be the first to be able to shake loose to give us information about that. So we will keep an eye on events, and we will return to the air when we've got news of what's exactly being announced in the courtroom. But for now, this is our top story. I'm Stephen Frazier at CNN Center. Viewers in the United States will join This Week at War in progress already, and our international audience joins a CNN special program called Broken Government, where the right went wrong. That, too, in progress.
Have to mean that
Multiply your possibilities. Introducing Intel Core 2 Duo, the world's best processors.
A great soul ballad is something very special. It's so much more than just a song you sing. It's music that gets deep inside of you. And now you can check out the complete 10-CD Classic Soul Ballads collection for 30 days for just $9.95. Even better, when you use your credit card, you'll get free shipping and handling, a savings of nearly $15. So order now with your credit card, and for just $9.95, bring all 10 CDs, 144 hits into your home. If it isn't the best collection you've ever heard, just send it back and owe nothing more. The Classic Soul Ballad collection is, to say the least, very, very special. And I know you're going to love it as much as I do. I'm Peebo Bryson. Please, enjoy the music.
Call 1-800-958-4977 for the Classic Soul Ballads. That's 1-800-958-4977. Call now.
The best political team on television tells it like it really is. Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, Lou Dobbs, Paula Zahn, and Larry King. Election night, CNN Tuesday night, 7.
The Oregonian says in many races, voters will get one choice, the incumbent. And the political insiders opposing term limits want to keep it that way. Oregonians are voting yes on term limits, yes on 45. More competition, more choices.
Is this what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen? Hard left hand, straight on the button by Pacquiao.
Now their third explosive fight.
Talk about going into the jaws of the lion.
3 times the fury.
They're trading their money punches.
3 times the pride.
Oh my goodness, this is boxing at its best. What a fight!
Pacquiao Morales 3, Saturday, November 18th. Live on Events in Demand pay-per-view.
Order Pacquiao versus Morales 3, live November 18th on Events in Demand. Excuse me, what do you think of Measure 45?
Term limits? Yes. It'll bring in new people and ideas. They'll be willing to take a stand if they know they're not going to be there forever.
Yes on 45. More accountability, more choices.
2 days till the elections. The latest on the tightest races. Larry King tomorrow.
Paula Sela is a real Geico customer, not an actor. So to help tell her story, we hired that announcer guy from the movies.
When the storm hit, both our cars were totally underwater.
In a world where both of our cars were totally underwater.
We thought it would take forever to get some help.
But a new wind was about to blow.
With Geico, we had our check in 2 days.
Payback. This time, it's for real.
Geico. Real service, real savings.
The Iraq effect. Where did the war dead call home? More than 240 came from both Texas and California. More than 100 from New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, and Illinois. 11 other states count 50 or more fatalities each.
I'm John Roberts in Baghdad. What images will American voters carry into the polling booth on Tuesday? In our special This Week at War, The Iraq Effect, we dug into our photo files and talked with historian Robert Dallek about the pictures and words of war.
The Iraqi regime
has plotted to develop anthrax and nerve gas and nuclear weapons.
This administration was able to tie together its images of 9/11 to its case for going to war against Iraq.
We don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud.
This was the image. This was the way to start fear, anxiety, create a sense of need to fight in Iraq,